Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions: the mystery of Chavín de Huántar's sound system, the ancient Peruvian temple that was designed as a sonic haunted house. Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction. Not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. Deep in the Peruvian Andes at approximately 180 meters elevation, the ruins of Chavín de Huántar present one of the strangest monuments in South American archaeology. Built by the Chavín culture between approximately 200 and 500 BCE, the site is a complex of platforms, plazas, galleries, and underground passages that served as the primary religious center for a wide area of the Andes for more than half a millennium. Archaeological investigation has revealed extraordinary craftsmanship: stone galleries carved with remarkable precision, a sophisticated drainage system that could be activated to produce the sound of rushing water under the plazas, and a layout that channeled light in specific ways at specific times of year. But the most extraordinary discovery came from archaeoacoustics, the study of how ancient spaces sound. Beginning in the late 1990s, researchers including archaeologist John Rick and musicologist José Pérez de Arce began systematically studying the acoustic properties of Chavín's underground galleries. What they found changed understanding of what the site was designed to do. The galleries are built to produce extraordinary acoustic effects: multiple echoes, reverberation times measured in seconds, disorientation of spatial perception, and the distortion of sound in ways that confuse listeners about the direction and character of what they are hearing. When traditional musical instruments found at the site, the strongest shell trumpets known as peruvians, were played in the galleries, the sound was transformed into something almost unrecognizable, reverberating and multiplying in ways that pilgrims in the darkened corridors would have found deeply disorienting and potentially terrifying. The architectural acoustic manipulation at Chavín was not accidental. It could not be. The precise dimensions of the galleries and passages that produce the specific acoustic effects required deliberate engineering. The Chavín builders were designing for a specific sonic experience, an experience of disorientation, of sounds seemingly coming from everywhere and nowhere, of ordinary acoustic perception becoming unreliable. Combined with the consumption of the hallucinogenic San Pedro cactus, which was found in archaeological contexts at the site, and the utter darkness of the underground galleries, the acoustic manipulation at Chavín was part of a comprehensive sensory experience designed to overwhelm ordinary consciousness and produce altered states in the people who underwent ritual initiation there. The world's oldest sonic haunted house. This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us, because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we go further, if you are finding this investigation compelling, please take a moment right now to like this video, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and share it with someone who loves a good historical mystery. If you are watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss a new episode. If you found us through Facebook, tap follow on our page. It takes just a few seconds, and it genuinely helps us keep making these documentaries. Now, let us get back to the investigation. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the global puzzle of unexplained ancient construction, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. Catastrophism, the idea that Earth's geological and cultural history has been shaped by sudden, violent events rather than purely gradual processes, was once the dominant paradigm in science. It was then largely displaced by uniformitarianism, the principle championed by Charles Lyell in the 19th century that the present is the key to the past, and that change occurs slowly and continuously. The pendulum has since swung back. Modern geology and astronomy have confirmed that catastrophic events, asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, rapid climate shifts, have profoundly shaped Earth's surface and life upon it. The Chicxulub impact that ended the Cretaceous is the most famous example, but it is not alone. The Younger Dryas cooling event 12,000 years ago caused radical shifts in human habitat within decades, not millennia. The Bronze Age collapse 3,000 years ago ended multiple interconnected civilizations in a generation. These events matter for archaeology because they reset the evidence. A major catastrophe does not merely destroy a civilization, it destroys the record of that civilization. Survivors carry only what they can remember, and memory degrades with each generation. After a few centuries, the grandchildren of survivors have myths where their grandparents had engineering manuals. What archaeologists find when they excavate ancient sites is not the full picture. It is the fragment that survived the last catastrophe. The full picture may be forever gone, preserved only in the ambiguous traces that puzzle researchers to this day. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades. And patterns in science demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter. The core evidence surrounding Chavín de Huántar's sound system, the ancient Peruvian temple that was designed as a sonic haunted house, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail. Chavín de Huántar is located in the Callejon de Conchucos Valley in the Peruvian Andes at approximately 180 meters elevation, approximately 250 kilometers northeast of Lima. The site is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and has been under systematic excavation by the Chavín de Huántar Archaeological Project, directed by John Rick of Stanford University since 1995. The project has used modern imaging techniques including laser scanning, photogrammetry, and ground-penetrating radar to map the site's complex internal architecture without destructive excavation. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen, instruments malfunction, researchers make mistakes. But as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly. It is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered the stone galleries at Chavín form a labyrinthine network of corridors, chambers, and hidden passages within the platform mounds. The galleries are built of precisely fitted stone blocks, with ceilings and walls that converge to create corridors as narrow as 80 centimeters in some places, requiring visitors to turn sideways to pass through. The gallery system was built in multiple phases over several centuries, with each phase adding new galleries while maintaining and sometimes deliberately modifying the acoustic properties of existing spaces. The total internal gallery area mapped to date exceeds 3,000 square meters. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this, and that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine the Peru shell trumpets found at Chavín
20 complete Strombus galatus shells modified for use as wind instruments, found in a single cache deposit in 2001, are among the most significant musical instrument finds in South American archaeology. When these specific instruments are played in the Chavín galleries, acoustic analysis shows that the gallery dimensions interact with the instrument's specific frequency output to produce maximum resonance and reverberation, suggesting the instruments and the architectural space were designed together as a unified acoustic system. The 2001 cache deposit represented the largest single find of pre-Columbian musical instruments. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation, but the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, the acoustic research at Chavín, published in a series of papers by José Pérez de Arce and colleagues in the Journal of the Acoustical Society of America and elsewhere, documented the following specific acoustic effects in the galleries: reverberation times of up to 5-3 seconds, longer than most modern concert halls; multiple echo patterns that make it difficult to localize the source of sounds; standing wave resonances at frequencies corresponding to the fundamental tones of the peru trumpets; and Haas effect phenomena, slight time delays between direct and reflected sound, that create the perception of sounds coming from different directions than their actual source. These effects combine to create profound acoustic disorientation. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of the drainage system at Chavín, which can be activated to produce the sound of rushing water emanating from beneath the main plaza, was discovered during excavation of the site's hydraulic infrastructure. The system appears to have been designed to channel water in specific ways during ritual events, producing a sound that would be audible to participants standing in the plaza above as an apparently sourceless roar from the earth. Combined with the acoustic effects of the underground galleries, the hydraulic sound system demonstrates a comprehensive design for sensory manipulation that extends to the site's exterior public spaces as well as its interior ritual chambers. What makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous points. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding: San Pedro cactus, Echinopsis pachinoa, a columnar cactus containing the psychedelic compound mescaline, is depicted in Chavín's iconography alongside other ritual animals and in ceremonial vessels. Botanical remains consistent with San Pedro cactus have been identified in archaeological contexts at the site. The San Pedro cactus has been used ceremonially in the Andes from prehistoric times to the present day. It is still used in contemporary healing ceremonies and produces visual and auditory hallucinations as well as synesthesia, the crossing of sensory modalities in which sounds may be seen and colors may be heard. The consumption of a mescaline-containing substance within the disorienting acoustic environment of the Chavín galleries would have produced a sensory experience of extraordinary intensity. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence, misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations, and in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain Chavín de Huántar's sound system. The ancient Peruvian temple
that was designed as a sonic haunted house. This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. The truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that the initiation ritual theory, supported by the archaeological and acoustic evidence, proposes that Chavin's underground galleries functioned as a space for ritual initiation experiences in which pilgrims or novices underwent a comprehensive sensory transformation designed to produce altered states of consciousness. The architectural acoustic manipulation, combined with the consumption of psychedelic plants and the darkness of the underground environment, would have created an overwhelming sensory experience designed to break down ordinary consciousness and produce direct experience of the supernatural realm that Chavin's iconography depicts. The experience of this ritual would have been the foundation of Chavin's religious authority over a wide area of the Andes. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence, but it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that the oracle space theory proposes that the acoustic properties of the Chavin galleries were used specifically for oracular communication, that the disorienting acoustic environment enabled ceremonial specialists, priests or shamans, to appear to speak with supernatural authority by using the gallery's acoustic properties to make their voices seem to come from multiple directions simultaneously, or from the stone walls themselves. Under this model, the acoustic effects served the functional purpose of making human voices appear to be divine speech, similar to the geological gases at Delphi that produced the oracle's trance states. The social function was to reinforce the authority of the religious elite who controlled access to the ritual space. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that the panoptic control theory, drawing on social theory, proposes that Chavin's architecture was designed not primarily for spiritual experience, but for social control, the maze-like gallery system. The acoustic disorientation and the sensory overwhelm were technologies of power that made pilgrims disoriented, dependent on priestly guides, and susceptible to the authority of those who controlled access to the space and knowledge of its layout. Under this model, the religious experience at Chavin was genuine, not a cynical fraud, but functioned in the same way that all structured religious experience functions, to reinforce the authority of the priestly class that managed it. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree, that is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding Chavín de Huántar's sound system, the ancient Peruvian temple that was designed as a sonic haunted house, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion. We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes the acoustic measurements taken in the Chavín galleries by Pérez de Arce and colleagues, using professional recording and analysis equipment to measure reverberation times, frequency responses, and spatial acoustic properties, are the primary evidence for the site's designed acoustic characteristics. These measurements, compared with acoustic models of the gallery geometry, demonstrate that the gallery dimensions produce their acoustic effects not by accident, but because they are specific to the gallery's precise proportions. The correspondence between gallery dimensions and acoustic effects is too precise to be coincidental. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented the Peru shell trumpets found in situ in the 2001 cache deposit, combined with experimental acoustic testing playing these specific instruments in the galleries, provide evidence for the instrument space acoustic system. The specific frequency ranges of the Peru instruments match the resonance frequencies of the galleries in a way that maximizes acoustic effect, a correspondence that could only exist if the instruments and the space were designed for each other. The specific shell species used, Strombus galatus, which had to be traded from the distant Pacific coast, demonstrates that the choice of instrument was a deliberate, high-value decision rather than a locally available convenience. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed the iconographic evidence from Chavín's carvings, which depict human figures in states of physiological transformation consistent with psychedelic experience, fangs appearing, claws emerging. Figures with both human and animal characteristics combined, alongside images of San Pedro, cactus and other ritual plants, provides contextual evidence for the role of psychoactive substances in Chavín ritual. The integration of the acoustic evidence, design disorientation space, the botanical evidence, psychedelic plant use, and the iconographic evidence, transformation states depicted in art, builds a coherent picture of a comprehensive ritual technology. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding Chavín de Huántar's sound system, the ancient Peruvian temple that was designed as a sonic haunted house. Now, we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing on our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are, where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. The Chavín de Huántar Archaeological Project continues its work at the site, applying increasingly sophisticated technologies to understand the site's architecture and acoustic design. The 2019 publication of a comprehensive acoustic survey of the galleries using three-dimensional acoustic modeling to reconstruct the sound environment of the entire underground complex, provided the most detailed acoustic picture of the site yet available. The project has also conducted studies of the site's optical properties, how natural and artificial light sources interact with the gallery architecture to produce specific visual effects at specific times of day and year. The study of ancient soundscapes and acoustic design at ritual sites, archaeoacoustics, has become an established subfield of archaeology, with Chavín de Huántar as one of its most important reference cases. Other sites worldwide are being studied for similar designed acoustic properties, including Stonehenge, which acoustic analysis has shown has specific resonance properties, Maltese temples, and Neolithic monuments in Ireland. The recognition that prehistoric ritual sites were designed for specific acoustic experiences has transformed understanding of what ancient monuments were built to accomplish. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made, new analyses are being published, new voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will come, will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of Chavín de Huántar's sound system, the ancient Peruvian temple that was designed as a sonic haunted house. From the historical record, through the physical evidence, across the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of Chavín de Huántar ultimately reveals is just a historical puzzle. It is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process, and the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew, however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please help us reach more people. If you are watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new documentary. If you are watching on Facebook, tap the follow button on our page to stay connected. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.